Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
And welcome to the Morning Woodward Show live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, and just like Monday, we've got Sam Stick Day on the desk.
You will not call me that today. You will call me Vanilla Bo Jackson all day today.
Vanilla Bo Jackson, all right. So I guess you can identify as anything as you want nowadays. Which is
welcome to 2023, 2024,
that
baby.
That is actually very, very fair, by the way.
I am Miss Vanilla Bo Jackson. Sorry.
All right. All right. So, all right. I guess I have to call you Miss now. I have to respect your pronouns. But anywho, speaking, we've got JB Smoove in the TD booth as always. We got Detroit Kool-Aid in the sound booth. What a hell of a team we got with me today. And you know, we're gonna talk a little bit of Lions. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh. We're gonna talk about that quite a bit as well. We got John Maakaron, our weekly Thursday interview with him at 8:30. Cannot wait for that. And oh, by the way, I think I told you guys on Monday, I actually got a chance to meet John in person on Sunday near Ford Field, and that was really, really cool as well. And to get into everything, we all know, happy about Michigan football. I am still living off of that buzz. Lions NFC Championship game. But the Detroit Pistons, I know a lot of you don't want to talk about it, but we're just going to give it a few minutes. Got their 5th win of the season over the Charlotte Hornets by a score of 113 to 106. Boyan had a big game, 34 points. You had Duran having a big game in limited minutes, including kind of closing it out with a go-ahead tip-in and a insurance dunk to put him up by 4. Alec Burks shot well from 3. Monte Morris's season debut. No Cade Cunningham. It was kind of cool.
Shout out Flint Beecher.
Hey, absolutely. It was kind of cool, too, to see Asar Thompson and Brandon Miller on the court at the same time. 2 very high draft picks. Brandon Miller looked good, and Asar, I mean, he does what Asar does. Plays solid defense, limited offensively. But, you know, it was all well and good because they won. So, Stick.
Yes.
I know we had a little bit of a conversation before. Mm-hmm. Pistons got a win. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see from them kind of going forward?
More fucking wins. I think that'd be the first thing on my list. But no, really, our conversation went to, did Cade Cunningham play last night?
No, he did not.
So the Pistons are 2-6 without Cade and 3-33 with Cade.
Interesting.
Pistons are winning 25% of their games without Cade Cunningham, winning 10% with Cade Cunningham. Is Cade Cunningham the problem?
You know, Stick, let's just trade him. Let's see how that would go. Let's just put him on the market right now. Let's just shop him.
Well, let's see. I mean, the Pistons would have 10 wins right now if they had traded him.
If they had no Cade Cunningham, they would have 10 wins.
So
right now.
I'm gonna say something, and you may not agree with this, but Cade Cunningham will be the Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Pistons. The guy with all the talent, all the accolades, can get the job done, but it ain't gonna happen here.
So he just has that. He lacks that magic winning dust quality that
in Detroit. I'm not saying you signed Cade Cunningham. Like I said, you put him in San Antonio with like Wemby or something like that. I'm sure they'll go on to win a championship. And I love Cade Cunningham. I was there chanting Cade, Kool-Aid. You remember that party, right?
Yeah, we did the draft party, man.
Love Cade Cunningham. Think he's got incredible game. But you know, this is a game of fitting together. It's a team game. I think if anybody watched the 04 Pistons, they may have learned a thing or two that just because you have talent on your squad doesn't necessarily mean they click together. And for some reason, Jaden Ivey sparks this team more than Cade Cunningham. And I don't know if it's because of all the minutes he got last year and they're just familiar with him. And now that he's back in the starting lineup, they're going like that. But it's just interesting to see. You know, if I'm looking at the numbers and I tell you the Pistons are 3-33 with Cade Cunningham and they're 2-6 without him, they're both losing records. Let's not jump off the bridge here with that. But it's interesting to talk about it. Like, why isn't Cade Cunningham making this a better team?
Well, it may help that Killian Hayes still blows. It may help that they decided to not put Jaden Ivey in the starting lineup that part of the year, which I disagreed with, by the way. It may help that they had a bunch of big men who didn't fit together. They got rid of Marvin Bagley, by the way. They have James Wiseman.
Who balled out in his first game, by the way, when he was gone.
I mean, Isaiah Stewart's mid. I mean, Boyan has been hurt. Monte Morris has not played at all. Asar Thompson is obviously very limited offensively. Marcus Sasser has gotten inconsistent minutes. What I'm saying is that there is nobody who could make this team a winner. And Jaden Ivey, he didn't even play that well last night. They won because of Boyan. They won because of Duran. They won for many, many reasons, and it had nothing. It didn't have anything to do with Jaden Ivey, but he was all right. I'm just saying that there is more to a team. You need a team around you. I mean, Kool-Aid, what do you think of what Sam Stick Day had to say? Here it is.
Sam's Flannel said I was going to cause you to go into an aneurysm when I said that.
Because you guys prefaced it this morning, I was like, you know what? Just breathe when you hear the take. Breathe when you hear the take, man. But listen, I get the validity in it, but ultimately there's so much more that goes into a winning team.
Yeah.
What's around Cade Cunningham, who he's been able to play with. We knew that Cade Cunningham, and what the assessment this year to me has shown is that he needs a ball handler next to him. Like how Devin Booker needed Chris Paul, Cade Cunningham is going to need a little bit more talent around him. And the front office just hasn't done enough to do that. And that's where I do fault Troy Weaver in this front office, because we don't know who in that front office is pulling all of the different strings. It's too many cooks in that kitchen. But they got to get him some more talent. He started off the year with Burks. He couldn't throw a rock into the ocean. Boyan was hurt. Jaden Ivey wasn't getting any time. And Killian Hayes was starting next to him as his Chris Paul. That's not a good recipe for any type of success.
So give me the ideal lineup. Who do you surround Cade Cunningham with? If you could go out there and build it, who do you surround him with to make this team a winner? Who's that ball-handling PG that you want?
Well, right now, based on the talent that they have, I want Jaden Ivey in that backcourt with him.
Yes, sir.
But I do want them to go
So
out
stupid of
there.
Monty not to start him at the beginning of the season. Like, what more did that dude have to prove last year?
It's frustrating, bro. It was really frustrating. A lot of the media continued to ask in veiled ways, and then we got a little bit more pointed as training camp and preseason went on. And then when the season began, it was just straight up like, so how much longer are you going to experiment with Killian Hayes in the starting lineup? When is Jaden Ivey going to get his chance? And now you got Monty Williams saying, I was a ding-dong. I don't know what literally, quote-unquote. I don't know what I was doing.
I was a ding-dong?
That's literally what he said.
All right, fire him just for using the fucking phrase ding-dong. Like, I don't want my leaders using I was a ding-dong.
Look, man, that's what he said.
Grow up.
When he said it, too, it was just like, whoa, all right, But, I do believe that the Pistons need, and you see it when Boyan is hot, they need an absolute scorer, man. I think that's why you're hearing names like DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine. We're hearing a couple other names as well kind of floated as potential Pistons targets. And that's a little bit down from some of the targets we heard earlier in the season when they said that they were looking for a stretch four like Pascal or OG. And those guys they're not going to come here. Last night Miles Bridges was in the building with the Hornets. And he looked good, but he wouldn't be even enough, in my opinion, to say, let's bring him here. He's going to make this serious difference.
And you want that baggage?
I don't want that baggage.
I don't want that baggage either. I'm sorry. I don't want that baggage.
I don't. I would rather, honestly, try my hand at like a LaVine or a DeJounte Murray, add it to kind of what this current mix is. You see kind of the effect with Marcus Sasser. When Marcus Sasser is hot and Jaden Ivey is playing, there's just a completely different feel to this team, a different pace to this team. I believe that Cade off ball presents you with a taller 2 or 3 who can operate in the ISO, hit threes much better in his off ball position, get to the rim, and I believe that overall the Pistons will find success with Cade Cunningham here, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope so.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the thing is, one of the things that I took away from last night's game, and I'm just going to touch on it briefly, and this is kind of a all-encompassing macro look. I don't think the Pistons are going to be historically bad this year. I know at some points we were looking at when they were on that long losing streak that they were going to win 6 or 7 games, and at some point we even joked they were going to be stuck at 2. But I think they're going to finish with somewhere between 12 and 17 or something like that. Not good, obviously. Another
waste of a year.
Another horrific season. But I don't think that we're going to be seeing these Pistons teams in record books or answering trivia questions for the wrong reason. And Booner in the chat. Does the Booner path also apply to the Detroit Pistons?
We need a Booner path for the Detroit
Pistons.
Booner, can you draw something up for us? And we can hand it to Monty? Maybe get a hold of that Gorez fella and show him the light.
Yes, the only man that can save us is Booner. But you know what? The Pistons talk, it gets a little depressing after a while.
God, I miss Bill Davison.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I miss
all?
Bill Davison.
Even though they got a win last night, they're still obviously have the worst record in the NBA. But a team that did not have the worst record in anything, they actually had the best, Michigan football. We're going to talk about them in the next segment, but more
Y'all got what you wanted.
For different reasons. And Stick, that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. But you're going to get
got
into
what
it
you
in a
wanted,
second.
Sam.
I do believe this with the Detroit Pistons, that they are secretly tanking. They need
that ain't secret.
Secretly? Yeah, well, look, the reason why I say secretly is because everything they're saying from the podium is that they're trying to win, they're trying to compete, they're trying to get the right talent in here. These are the things they're saying, but ultimately when you look at what this team needs to do to improve, though we want to see wins this year, they need that draft pick to be as high as possible. They need that draft pick to be locked into a top 5 spot. And when you start off the season and you're like, hey, maybe we can win 15, 20, 25 games and get a top 5 spot, but then you see teams like the Hornets and the San Antonio Spurs like, no, we'll race you to the bottom for that top 5 protected spot.
Yeah.
And it's more important for the Pistons because they lose their first round pick next year. Not that I believe that they're going to necessarily draft somebody with that pick, but when you go into the offseason needing to make a bang as it relates to free agency and trades, you need to be able to know you can pick a player for another team, package that, and get another player in here that can help to accelerate the winning by next season.
But, I mean, let's be honest. They've had the number 1 overall pick in the past, 3-4 years. They've had the number 5 overall pick in the past 3-4 years, and it hasn't worked out. So tanking is not the strategy.
Well, no, I think it has worked out, though.
Has it?
Because if they go out this
5
year...
and 39?
All right.
It's worked out?
Remember the free agency where they surrounded Andre Drummond and Stanley Johnson with middling talent? And
what sucks, though, is I would kill for those squads right now.
But
wouldn't you kill for that squad?
No, I would kill for
Getting
this squad.
bounced in the first round with the 8th seed? That's a fucking fantasy to these guys.
I wouldn't, because if they go and have the same exact free agency this year, they're surrounding much better young talent. I would rather put that talent around Duren, Cade, Ivy, and Asar. I just would. And if they go out this summer and actually do that, middling talent around this young core, which you can only get by sucking for a very long time. You're not going to... You can talk about one... Hey, you know what? That's appropriate to the Pistons.
Right.
That's them right now.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Long and slow.
But you only get there, man. You only get there by the path that they've taken. We've said this for years. We would rather this team, because when we were watching that team, we said we would rather see this team lose while we're accruing draft picks, while we're accruing young talent, and then start the rebuild that way. We all said that. Now that we're in that, I think people don't have the stomach for a rebuild. I just don't.
How long is Troy Weaver's rebuild going to be, though? That's the question. I mean, this seems to be a perpetual rebuild right now.
The Bad Boys took 4 to 5 seasons, and nobody look. You want to talk about their first 2 years, historically bad 2 years to Trader Jack's start. It was a little bit worse than what we're seeing right now. We know right now that they have the cap space to go out there and field a middling team to put around their young talent and have a better season next year. They have all of that capability. If they're going to push that button, I don't think they have the opportunity any longer to delay this thing. But when they did start this rebuild, they said restore, like the Bad Boys. They related everything to this kind of 3 to 5 year window. Next season is year 5. If they don't get something done personally to me by this deadline or the offseason, I think the whole thing's a failure. Personally.
Okay.
I call it a failure.
You know more about basketball than I do. I'm not going to pretend that you don't. But just when I'm watching, it's like, Jesus, man, what more do these guys need? Another first round or number 1 overall pick? What's Wemby going to be the difference?
As an asset, though, this year. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they should draft any more young players, especially with Monty Williams as your coach. He does not know how to manage young talent, and he openly states he wants a more veteran-laden team. And that's what I was saying. When you get that top pick this year, or even if it's top 4 protected or whatnot, because you get one of those bottom 4 records, then you're able to go and package that with another young player and another asset and try and bring in a difference maker. That's their only path. I'm not sitting here even saying that they're going to execute it the right way, but if I was the GM at this current spot right now, that's the path to make sure you can bring in as much positive veteran talent, not like old vets. They can't go out there and do another Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic. They need somebody who's in that 27, 28-year-old range who can come in here and absolutely do work for the squad next to Cade Cunningham, Ivy, Duren.
All right, yep. And you know what? I always appreciate your Pistons analysis. I think you keep us all a little bit more level-headed than we would like to be. And I think we have seen some foundational pieces that might be with the Pistons when they win. It just might not be for a while. But speaking of teams who, well, talk about teams who do win. Coming up next, we went a little bit over with the Pistons talk, so we are going to get right into our interview with John the Doc Maakaron, one of Woodward Sports Network, Morning Woodward Show favorites, and I cannot wait to talk to him about the Detroit Lions. But first, I have to tell us all about Premier Pet Supply. I love talking about my golden retriever Jake and my orange cat Milo, and you can give your pet the best like I give my pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers. With one major difference, family and locally owned and operated for 30 plus years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local, curbside, and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply, give your pet the best. Visit their website at premierpetsupply.com.
Feel alive during Feldman Chevrolet's biggest New Year's sales event ever. Get the best prices on our huge selection of award-winning Chevrolets. Like this 2024 Equinox for $188 per month. Or this 2024 Silverado for $268 per month. It's the New Year's sales event going on now at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Hey, Jack Labrador. Go to jacklabrador.gg right now and order this awesome game, or you can scan that QR code that's right there. Rest in peace to Paper, Rock, Scissors, because Jack Labrador is bringing you the heat with a couple new elements you can throw in. You know, like when you're playing with somebody and they're like, that's a bomb. And it's like, no, that's not how this is played. Jack Labrador actually put this in the game, so it's a little bit more fun, a little bit more odds in your favor. So go have some fun. Pick it up. You've seen us play it here at Woodward Sports. jacklabrador.gg.
Those kids back in the day were really the worst. Right, like we all knew one of those, and they were just such a. But you know what? Jack Labrador might be the game for them, and the fact that there's actually some point value to all of that makes it a really fun game. I'm not too good at Jack Labrador, but I am certainly learning. But we are the Morning Woodward Show.
Well, kind of.
We are back. Yes.
I mean, you're the Morning Woodward Show. Apparently, this chair is interchangeable.
Well, that's another story for another day. But we got Sam Stick Day.
Love you, Jeff.
Yes. And if you guys love Jeff, just keep putting Jeff in the chat. Just like spam, we love Jeff, everybody, because we all miss him. We all love him. But I love being here with Sam Stick Day as well, and Kool-Aid yesterday, and Matt Shepard on Tuesday. But I always have the consistency of JB Smoove. And when Kool-Aid is not next to me on the desk, he is in the sound booth. So
Kool-Aid, you did an excellent job yesterday, by the way. I tuned in. And I thought that was really your first time on the desk on like a daily show, right?
I've done a couple other fill-ins, hosting jobs, but this was probably one of the more fun ones, man.
Oh, it was one of the most fun times I've ever had doing the show.
I thought you sounded good. You kept this asshole in line. Like I thought you did a great job.
Damn.
I appreciate you, brother.
Well, speaking of people who are very nice.
I appreciate you, Vanilla Bo Jackson.
Yeah, thank you. Quit calling me Stick today. It's Vanilla Bo Jackson.
The
greatest white athlete of all time.
Well, Unlike
There aren't many of us.
There aren't, but there are a lot of goats around here, and one of the goats for sure is Mr. John Maakaron, and we love having him for our weekly segment on Thursday, The Doc. John, by the way, it was great to meet you on Sunday. That was a lot of fun, and I'm happy for people like you that you get to cover this team. And to start out, I know that we're going to get into the minutia of the San Francisco 49ers game, but I talked to Matt Broder on Tuesday, and I asked him, because he's in a different position as you. His first season covering the team, they won, and I asked him, what it was like covering a winning team. But I'll ask the same thing for you, John. How much fun has it been being in the building this year and just seeing this team win and kind of being that insider, the boots on the ground guy after having to suffer through many, many losing seasons?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to be known as the Chocolate Dan Campbell. Young, never wrong. Man, it's great to be part of the Lions media, being part of the community, man. Thank you guys for having me. Stick, always good to catch up with you, man. You do your thing always. Man, yeah, for 10 years, I've been a lifelong Lions fan and started a podcast 10 years ago, and you just felt like it was a dead end. You felt like it was an organization that was going nowhere. And you just recycled coaches. You brought in coaches that won. And for whatever reason, they would come to Detroit and just fail to deliver. Dan Campbell stands in front of the media, stands in front of the world, and delivers the message. We're going to be a violent, physical football team, and eventually the Lions will be the last one standing. And yeah, many people panned it and thought it was hyperbole, but Campbell delivered. This is a football team that's taken on the identity of the city. Everybody's excited. It feels like the Lions are now really part of the NFL. And for me, like I said, by this point, I would have had written 10 mock drafts, already looking to the future. Who's next? And for this opportunity to be part of a winner, 8 games won at home out of 10 was unbelievable. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I can't get enough of covering the Detroit Lions. I'm going out to San Francisco to maybe see the Detroit Lions earn a spot to be in the Super Bowl. I think everybody should be excited for this football team, because not only are they a winner now, it's really looking like they're going to be a winner for the next several years.
Yeah, and that's the best part about what's going on with this team. When they made the playoffs in the past, it was like, oh, we backed into the playoffs. Oh, okay, we could win a game. Now it's like, all right, we got our 2, and it's based off rookies. It's based off of culture. It's based off of what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are delivering to this squad. And I know you're just as big a Lions fan as I am, and I'm probably the biggest Lions fan that I know. For you to start a podcast and when the Lions were absolute dog shit to now, does it feel surreal to you? Because I find myself waking up on these game days, these playoff game days, and I'm not nervous. It's like a sense of calm. It's almost like we've been there before when I clearly know we haven't, but it's just a supreme confidence you have in these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to fire up the microphones and talk about the opportunity that the Lions had to defeat the Rams, close the narrative on Matthew Stafford. You clearly are better than the Bucs. You go out there, and the atmosphere at Ford Field really was a celebration. I just was taking it all in, really enjoying the loud atmosphere, the rising decibel levels, just really taking it all in, because you never know year to year what's going to happen. And this football team, I mean, just the gritty nature, I think what makes people get gravitated toward this football team is they were a bunch of cast-offs. Amon-Ra St. Brown feeling like, wait a minute, I'm talented and I'm getting drafted in the 4th round. And you realize Jared Goff, a cast-off, basically blamed for the Rams' failures. He gets traded, and you get Dan Campbell, who's the ultimate journeyman football player. When he gets hired, everyone's like, this guy's got no experience. This guy's going to fail.
Jameel Hill said it's taking jobs away from black coaches, hiring Dan Campbell. Exactly. What an idiot that chick is.
Off of one speech, and now the organization is on the precipice of doing some things that they've never done before. And to be a witness of it, to see quality football. Look, we've all watched. I don't have a B team, but I loved watching the 49ers, Cowboys. Loved watching when the Lions were eliminated from the postseason, seeing what good football teams would do, dreaming of the day when it would be the Lions getting talked about. And now to be 60 minutes away from being in the Super Bowl, it's surreal, but now the Lions belong, and now it's time to take it. It's time to take the Lombardi Trophy, and the Lions deserve to be the last one standing from everything they've gone through as an organization, it seems like the turnaround is going to be just as magical. Something's in the air. The Lions are doing something special.
You know, they are doing something special, and they most certainly do belong in the NFC Championship game. But the San Francisco 49ers, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. They're a very tough matchup. There's a reason why the Lions have to go to their place. And just to piggyback off of that, what are some things or something that the 49ers do that could give the Lions some trouble?
Yeah, absolutely. They feature a great defense. I think this defense really on par with what the Jets brought last year and this year. You realize that linebacking core flies around to the football. Armstead and Warner are just unbelievable in what they can do. Clearly, Nick Bosa can impact a football game. You got to be concerned in regards to the Lions' offensive line being a little bit banged up. How much pressure are they going to bring on Jared Goff? And you look on the offensive side of the football, Kyle Shanahan is known, widely regarded as an offensive genius. You realize they got a young quarterback, but they got that run CMC that at any point in time can break off a run and make things challenging. But for me, the 2 players that scare me right now are Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. If they get cooking, it's going to make for a long afternoon for Aaron Glenn's defense. But even though the 49ers present challenges, you can legitimately say Aaron Glenn has enough pieces to put together a plan that can potentially disrupt what the 49ers are doing. You got the pieces. Safeties that are elite, Aiden Hutchinson balling out. And I think that in a game like this, clearly the Lions are better at the quarterback spot. If Goff plays well, I think that Purdy could be the one that blinks first.
I mean, you saw it last game when he had to put on gloves to play in rain. That guy is not tough. I mean, Brock Purdy showed a lot of flaws last game. He did have the game-winning drive. You got to give him credit for that. But through about, 50 minutes of football, he did not play well. 55 minutes of football, he did not play well. I see a bunch of bobbleheads behind you, Piston bobbleheads, and I was thinking about this because you were bringing up about cast-offs and stuff like that. Jared Goff is the Chauncey Billups of this team. High draft pick, thrown out by his team, journeyman, found his home, and now he's developing into what everybody thought he could be when he was that number 1 overall pick, just like when Chauncey was that number 3.
Oh, absolutely. What an analogy. I look at it and you see a quarterback. When he came to town, I was the first one to ask him. I said, hey, you get traded to kind of a rebuilding situation. Do you got a chip on your shoulder? And he's like, you know what, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, I do. I have an opportunity now to prove in a new situation what I'm about. And I think that having this situation, the way in which the Lions have embraced Jared Goff, now the community, Jared Goff chants, something I'd never thought you would see at Ford Field, unifying in support of a quarterback. And he's played well. And I think what the Lions did, and not a lot of teams do it, and you wonder why, it's they embraced what he did well. Ben Johnson spent an offseason watching all the positive film that Goff had with the Rams, working with the quarterback and saying, okay, this is what you do well. Let's tailor an offense that suits what you bring to the table. Let's not focus on the fact that you're not as mobile. Let's not focus on the fact that, hey, certain passes you can't make. Let's focus on what you do well. Build an offensive line, get him some weapons all across the field, and look what happens. Playoff wins. And I know people get enamored with the mobility thing and they want to see a quarterback play elite level football but pay him peanuts. It doesn't work like that. True talent in any field needs to be paid, needs to be supported, needs to feel like they're part of an organization that wants them. That's a message to everybody. And I think that Jared Goff is really proof positive that if you stick with it, that if you get knocked down and you stick with it, good things are going to happen.
Well, speaking of Jared Goff, I want to talk a little bit about the Detroit Lions offense because I'm kind of going to ask you to agree or disagree with this and elaborate. The Detroit Lions have just as good of an offense as the San Francisco 49ers. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely. I could even argue that they're better.
Absolutely.
I think that you have a weapon in Jamison Williams that you haven't even tapped into yet. Maybe this is the game in which J-Mo breaks off another 60-yard touchdown, maybe even multiple opportunities. You realize what this offense, one of the top red zone scoring offenses in the National Football League, you recognize Jared Goff playing at a high level. Two elite level running backs that are playing at a high level. Oh my goodness. Jahmyr Gibbs is on the level of Christian McCaffrey. Now, obviously McCaffrey has more experience, but you've seen all year the steady rise of Jahmyr Gibbs. Frank Ragnow called his touchdown cut one of the best he's ever seen. You feature a young, explosive, offensive talent like that, man, I just think that this game has the potential to be special and can be really explosive, or it can be also, at the same time, something in which the defenses kind of rise up as well and say, hey, all this talk about the offenses, let's step it up. I think that Ben Johnson, clearly a coach that is now in the waiting for next year for another team, I think has this football team playing at such a high level offensively. It's been a beauty to watch.
Well, and the thing that I love about that is when you even look at the all-pro teams, the 49ers have 5 all-pro offensive players, the Lions have 4. And in one of the positions where the 49ers are all-pro, Christian McCaffrey, the Lions basically do the exact same thing with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs combined, and some may say even better. And one of the 49ers all-pros is their fullback, which I'm not trying to crap on fullbacks as a position, but you know what I mean? Kyle Juszczyk is not the same as like Amon-Ra St. Brown when it comes to first-team all-pros. So, yeah, I'm so glad
it's so weird how they still have to fill that fullback position on the All-Pro roster. I mean, there's literally like maybe 2 real fullbacks in the NFL anymore.
Yes, and
Cabinda's one of them. He's a fullback. That's all he is.
Jason Cabinda's another story for another day. But you know what, John?
Don't you dare slander Cabinda.
Why shouldn't I slander? You know what? Nobody.
There's no slander of the Lions this week.
Yes, you know what? I will give that caveat. I agree with that. But you know what, John? Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball as well. The Lions defense is clearly the weaker unit, but they've done, I would say, more than enough, particularly in the playoffs. They've created turnovers when they've needed to. They played against the Rams, great red zone defense. So does this Lions defense have enough to get it done and at least hold the 49ers enough so that the offense can score more points?
Oh, yeah. The key, you guys see it, turnovers, man. CD Deuce coming back brings that swagger that everybody loves, the guy that's going to talk the most junk on the field and obviously gets the interception, kicks things off against the Bucs. I love his swagger. Even though he's a little salty with the media, kind of doing his thing, kind of keeping to himself this week, I look at this defense and you say, wow, Ifeatu Melifonwu is a physical presence that can sack the quarterback, upping the pressure. We haven't even talked about James Houston. No one knows yet if he's going to debut, but if he does, my goodness, you now have a potential option on third down in clear pass rushing situations to impact the pass rush. You guys got to give credit to this defense. I know it's not locked down. I know people are scared of Cam Sutton, but in the end, when it matters most, this defense rises up and makes plays. I look at it and I say, what better way to match up against the 49ers than to bring it with Aiden Hutchinson, a guy that's hungry, heard all the noise. You're not sacking the quarterback. You're not doing this. Even though he's doing everything possible that he can do to pressure the quarterback, to make noise, to be disruptive, to keep battling, and now to get the sack totals up and to impact the quarterback. My goodness, it's just a defense that Aaron Glenn, with more talent, has been able to take advantage and maximize what he has on that roster. And it's only going to get better, in my opinion, with Brad Holmes next year bringing in even more talent to this defense, whoever runs it. And I look at this defense and I say, you get that 1 or 2 turnovers, you give that offense an extra possession, man, oh man, it's going to be poison for the 49ers.
Yeah, and people talk about Aaron Glenn, that they don't love him, and that's fine. You don't have to love him, but there's a reason he's getting looked at for head coaches' positions. It's what he's done with what he has is pretty damn impressive to get the Lions to the NFC Championship game. And something Dan Campbell said this week was, hey, I'm willing to give up something to get something. And if you read between the lines, he's saying, I'm willing to give up those yards to get the wins. And I think knowing what you are and what you're good at is important, but also identifying what you're bad at is important too, and embracing it. And I feel that's what this Lions defense has done. They know they're going to give up yardage, and they're okay with that. It doesn't hurt them because they already know going in, hey, this guy's probably going to put up 100 yards receiving, but we're okay as long as we don't let them in the end zone.
Yeah, no doubt. It's clearly playing to your strengths. And with Aaron Glenn, I have a feeling he might actually be a better head coach in the NFL than he is a coordinator. I just think that when you have people that rally around you, if you can find the right staff, that's the marquee of a good NFL coach. So for Aaron Glenn, look, everybody loves the 85 Bears. They want to be destructive and give up 5 points, 10 points. It's just not the way it works in the National Football League. It's catered to the offense, catered to receivers, but in the end, when you look at it, bend don't break is really, in the end, something that this Lions football team has taken advantage of. Yeah, between the 20s, it's not going to look as pretty, but when it's crunch time, when it's time to clamp down and force the other opponent into a field goal, that's what this team has been able to do, and sprinkle in the key play when needed. I mean, just look at Derek Barnes, a player that got criticized to the nth degree, the first time in his career that he makes a critical mistake against Dallas. Guys like me posting things on Twitter that he sees and is not happy with. People actually taking it a step further, direct messaging him nasty things. He has to go to his teammate and say, what the heck's this about? Luckily, Alex Anzalone is a veteran teammate. Say, hey, this is the magnitude of the NFL. Key plays are magnified. Does it impact him to the point where it derails his career? Maybe in the past, others would not have been mentally strong. This guy comes back and makes the play against the Buccaneers. And that's just the hallmark of a good football team. And Dan Campbell said it. Aaron Glenn said it. Plays are going to happen. You're going to make mistakes. But you come back the next time and you make the play. Same with Cam Sutton. Dan Campbell trusts the veteran cornerback. Even though it doesn't look pretty, there are times when he breaks up the pass at the most critical moments. And that's what you're looking for.
You know, the defense isn't perfect, as we know, but it seems like they always create the turnover when they need to. They always get the stop when they need to. Hell, even against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got a couple of big 3-and-outs when they needed to. So this defense, I would say, I would agree with you that on this team, given the fact that they're opportunistic and the Lions have a great offense that can score a lot of points, it is good enough. And thank you so much for joining us today, John Maakaron. Twitter handle at Detroit Sports Podcast. You're one of our favorite guests, and thank you so much for coming on. And go Lions, and happy that you get to be in San Francisco for the game.
Yeah, let's go. Lions have an opportunity 60 minutes away from playing in the Super Bowl. Stick, hey, potentially, if I put on my wedding ring, show up to a bar there on Hayes, if I say, hey, I know Sam Stick Day, the Vanilla Bo Jackson, could I potentially get some free cocktails here? The check cleared?
Listen, you are a lifetime member out at Cicerelli's at 21 Mile and Hayes, and that's going to be a party this Sunday too, man. It's our first away playoff game, and we were sold out of reservations on Monday at noon. Monday, it took less than 24 hours to book 400 seats, and we got Bleacher Report coming out to do a live watch party there too. So it's gonna be a party. I guess Herman Moore's showing up. Like we're gonna have a good time there. So San Francisco, the place to be. But yeah, if they go up to the Super Bowl and you can't go to Vegas, come on out to Cicerelli's.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's my neighborhood, man. That's right there. Great things, always big things for you, the network. Sam, I'm sorry, Jim Harbaugh bolted. But when the fire's that hot, I'd smoke out of Ann Arbor too.
You know what? You know what? Stay tuned into the morning show because we're going to talk about that in the next segment. Thank you, John. As always,
Doc.
you are the
Bro.
man. Keep crushing, Doc.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John.
And if anyone on the Lions, Pistons, hell, Michigan football in the offseason needs to get an extra workout, Sam Stick Day, where do they go?
Oh, Planet Fitness. You know, you put your shoulder pads on, you get on the treadmill, and you train like a Detroit Lion, like your Amon-Ra St. Brown running routes. That's what you do. It's only $10 a month. Your fitness is essential, so make sure you go to a Planet Fitness near you. They're all over Metro Detroit, and you can upgrade to that black card so you can get the massage, you can get the tanning, everything you want at Planet Fitness.
Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Hey, you know who's packing that meat? Fairway Packing. They got that meat for you. Prime beef, dry age. You can order today at fairwaypacking.com. Get it in before the game on Sunday so that way you can grill up some of the best steaks that you've ever had in your life. Purveyors of the finest meat since 1956. Give them a call. 313-332-5114.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show, live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. We've got Sam Stick Day.
Say my name.
Vanilla Bo Jackson.
Thank you.
Since we gotta respect everything nowadays, you can identify as you want. I'm a Triceratops, by the way. Call me that. Anywho, I never mind. JB Smoove in the TD booth and Detroit Kool-Aid in the sound booth. Well, for Michigan fans, this season was probably the best you've ever experienced in your life. They won the national championship. We're all still on a high from it. I certainly am. Kool-Aid, are you still feeling that high?
I am.
Absolutely, absolutely. But unfortunately, we were hit with the news last night, and we kind of saw it coming that Jim Harbaugh has agreed to become the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And I know, Stick, we were talking a little bit before the show. When you heard that, Stick, what were some of your initial reactions?
I don't have the ties or the love for Michigan that a lot of people have. I love Michigan, right? I root for Michigan, but I'm not emotionally attached to Michigan. And, to me, it's like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. He came to Michigan. He wanted to honor Bo Schembechler. Mission accomplished. He got the natty. And he can do whatever the fuck he wants with the rest of his life. I mean, what more does this guy have to prove? And if everybody thinks it's because he's running from what's going to come down from the NCAA and all that stuff, I don't think that's the case at all. And actually, Angelina Chingales, the writer for Michigan, she was saying that the contract negotiations have been going on a long time with Jim Harbaugh and the upper ADs at Michigan, and he wanted something in the contract. They didn't want to put it in. They kept kicking the can, till finally he just walked away and took the job in the NFL. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's what you do. If you made it to a Super Bowl in the NFL and you didn't win, and then you go win your national championship, like, you want to go get what you missed out on. Right? And also, don't forget, he's got a brother that has a Super Bowl ring. He wants to sit at the same table as the brother in the family. Like, it's nice to have the college national championship, but it's so much better to have that Super Bowl under your belt. And I got to be honest, Michigan fans have flip-flopped on this guy for his entire tenure here. When he first got signed, it was, this guy's going to save the world. He's the best. Had some struggles. Get rid of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, they were selling tickets for what? $1 in a candy bar at one point just to get people into the stadium. Like, the program fell. Everybody thought Jim Harbaugh was the worst. He had to go. And I was the one that defended Jim Harbaugh during those times. Like, listen, you may want him gone, but who are you going to bring in that's better? And nobody could ever answer that question. It was just, no, we need to get rid of him. He's not what we thought he was. It's not fast enough. His record against Michigan State and Ohio State isn't good enough. Then you gave the dude some time. He took upon himself to take a pay cut. He humbled himself in front of the university to take a pay cut. And now he can do whatever the hell he wants. So all the Michigan fans that are crying, all the ones that are saying, he cheated, that's why he's leaving, just shut up. This guy never owed you anything. And what he brought you is something that your delusional fan base thought you were before he got here. Because Michigan, when's the last outright national championship that they ever won, Sam?
Well,
outright.
Okay, but
outright.
1997 counts, by the way. 1948.
1948.
But 1997 doesn't count then.
I'm not saying it doesn't count, but that's not an outright championship, right? If Tennessee's claiming it too, it's not the same thing. This year, nobody can claim national champions but Michigan, right?
Absolutely.
So Michigan fans always thought they were perennial national champions. You never were national championships outright, except in the 40s. Like, you were the Detroit Lions of the NCAA for a while.
Okay,
you were championships.
Easy guy.
Why do we play the game? To win championships?
Yeah, I understand.
So they weren't winning championships for almost, 80 years?
97 counts, but I get what you're saying.
So Jim Harbaugh delivered that to you. Everybody should be bowing and kissing this man's feet on the way out, saying, thank you, Jim Harbaugh, for what you did for our program, because we haven't had it in 80 years.
You know what, Stick? You went at it a different way than I would have, but at the end of the day, I agree. Jim Harbaugh, just Slow clap.
Yeah.
Jim and Freddie Felt 313, I think, puts it perfectly. He served his time and gave us 3 Big Ten titles, embarrassed Ohio 3 years in a row, and gave us a natty. Absolutely. And Sir James in the chat said as well, he's a Michigan fan. Good for Jim. Now go get a Super Bowl. And that's kind of where I'm at right now when it comes to Jim Harbaugh, because you were right. Right now, what Michigan has been for the last 3 seasons is the best that it has ever been. They won a national championship in 2023. This was the most magical season in the history of Michigan football. And I've always said about Jim Harbaugh, he is the greatest coach in school history. He is the greatest football figure in school history, combined with what he did as a coach and as a quarterback. They should rename Schembechler Hall Harbaugh Hall. He should get a statue wherever he wants it.
I think he'd argue that.
He probably
don't
would.
want that.
He would argue that, but at the same time, what did Bo Schembechler always struggle with? And I don't want to give like a Michigan history lesson or anything like that, but Bo Schembechler struggled to win Rose. Hey,
sorry.
That's another story for another day, and it's definitely relevant. But on the football field, of course, he struggled to win Rose Bowls, 2-8 in Rose Bowls famously, won a lot of Big Tens, which is what Michigan kind of was for most of their history. A very, very good Big Ten team that would usually fall short in the postseason, and they even did fall short in the first couple times that Michigan had a crack at it, to Georgia and TCU, of course. But the fact that Jim Harbaugh was able to get over the hump and give Michigan a national championship, that's all I ever wanted.
Right.
If you would have told me when he got hired, after experiencing the miserable Brady Hoke and Rich Rodriguez years, which culminated in a 5-7 season in 2014, which was also the year in which Michigan put Shane Morris on the field, clearly concussed, one of the low points in the history of the Big House, that Jim Harbaugh would, in year 1, give us a 10-win season, another 10-win season in 2016, another 10-win season in 2018, and then beat Ohio State 3 consecutive years from 2021 to 2023, win 3 consecutive Big Ten titles, and with the last Big Ten title culminating in a national championship, every single one of us would have taken it because, as you said, Stick, and I think a little bit more of a disrespectful way than you needed to, Michigan, in terms of being a national powerhouse, that never really was a thing because they would constantly fall short in Rose Bowls and in the postseason. They did it with Bo Schembechler. They did it. They got one under Lloyd Carr, but they never had this run of 3 consecutive Big Ten championships. There were a lot of 8-4, 9-3 kind of seasons. So as far as it is with Jim Harbaugh, I'm just thankful for the memories, thankful that we got him for as long as we did, and that's all that I can say. I have no ill will towards the man, and no Michigan fan should. Kool-Aid, you're also a big Michigan guy. Yeah. What were your initial thoughts now that it's actually real? He is gone. He is now with the Los Angeles Chargers.
The initial thoughts was I'm glad that the national championship vibes are still running through my veins because it does sting a little bit because Jim Harbaugh is one of those coaches that really matter. He's not just a good coach on the field, but he's a program changer. And that's exactly what the University of Michigan football program, I think just University of Michigan in general, needed. We see how much Juwan Howard has affected what John Beilein set up. And he's a program. John Beilein's a program changer as well. And so just kind of looking at that, how those things kind of fell off, I'm hoping that the imprint that Jim Harbaugh has left behind is something that they can continue to uphold rather than whoever they bring in after him kind of running things back into the same old Michigan where we bragged more about having the most wins in college football, but how many of them were really, truly meaningful to us?
You beat the School for the Blind in 1926. That was a big one.
All right, but to act like
tough competition.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, just to act like Michigan was the only team that did stuff like that back in the day. That's
I'm not acting like that. And to kind of walk people off the edge with Jim Harbaugh, is Jim Harbaugh a Michigan man?
Oh, the Michigan man.
Do you think he's just going to take hands off the program?
Well,
or do you think he's still going to consult with Sharon Moore? He's still going to help them find DCs, OCs, and now he's got a chance to do what his brother did for him. Hey, I got a good linebacker coach here in L.A. He'll make a great defensive coordinator at the college level. I'm going to ship him off to Michigan. So, that's the one thing that I think a lot of Michigan fans that are jumping over the cliff today need to realize is he may be gone, not getting paid, but his lineage, his blood is Michigan. He played there. Bo Schembechler was his idol. He restored the roar, if you want to put it that way, at Michigan. And he's not just walking away like the Joker with the building blowing up behind him with a smile on his face. He's going to turn around. He's going to help the program anytime he can. And to me, the biggest way he can help the program is feeding them those coordinators.
Right, and you know what? That's a great segue because we're going to talk a little bit more about where does the program go from here in the next segment. But first, I have to tell you about Swiss Insurance. Do you have football on the brain? Of course you all do. If you're living in the state of Michigan, you're not living under a rock. You got to have football on the brain because the state of Michigan is better than anybody else right now.
That's true. Facts.
It absolutely is facts. And to celebrate, you got to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Market Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
At Planet Fitness, you can get energy without the judgment.
Hi, can you help me with this?
You don't know how to use it?
This is better.
Join now through January 19th for just 24 cents down, $10 a month. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Join today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal extended through January 19th.
Over 50 Metro Detroit locations.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Hey, are you tired of wearing that same old Detroit sports merch? Well, it's a new era in sports wearables with new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Here, check this out. Go over to woodwardsports.com and click on that shop tab and hook yourself up with some brand new Detroit Lions gear. We got the Stoke Not Scared t-shirt. We got the Meat Missile shirts. We even got the Malibu golf hoodies. Telling you right now, they will turn heads at any tailgate you're at. Hey, maybe you're even heading down to San Fran. So click on that shop tab when you go to woodwardsports.com and hook yourself up with some new designs.
And welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show live on the Woodward Sports Network. I'm Flannel Sam. We got Sam Stick Day. We got JB Smooth. We got Detroit Kool-Aid. And Kool-Aid, I'm so glad that you alerted me to that comment. I'm salty in the chat. Program changer. It only took him 8 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. He was coming into the Rich Rod and after the Rich Rod and Brady Hoke era, where the previous season they were 5-7. They had a couple of seasons under Rich Rod where they didn't even go to a bowl game. And oh, by the way, I'm salty. 8 years is really not that long, and I kind of have
it's kind of long.
I have a feeling where your loyalties lie. I'll just say that. And people who are a fan of that team should not be talking any smack. Or are you and your boys going to do a circle jerk over Jonathan Smith and Aiden Childs again? I'm just saying. But anywho, we're not here to talk about that program.
I was told that Dan Antonio, who, you know, he got some pretty big accolades this year, he changed the Michigan State Spartans program, right? But what did they win? I don't see any natty.
They made it to the college football playoffs, which is huge for Michigan State.
It's
huge.
So we're moving the goalposting.
Huh?
We're moving the goalpost.
I mean, they got their ass beat.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's a different program, though. Michigan State has never claimed to be what Michigan thought they were.
Then I shouldn't be talking. They shouldn't. Sit back then on the JV bench, and you can talk to Maryland.
They're
Rutgers.
both delusional programs at some point. I mean, honestly, Michigan's delusion on what they are or were compared to now, you can talk that talk. Now you've won a natty. You can talk that talk. And shout out to Adam in the chat. Adam Big Dude in the chat, baby. What's up, baby?
Oh, my God.
Good to see you, buddy.
Adam Baydoun, you are the absolute man. Thank you so much. And I'm salty again. Michigan blows. Let me hear your excuses when the Buckeyes beat your ass the next 4 years. I can't hear you over my ring, I'm salty. I don't give a damn.
Sharon Moore is already 1-0 against Ryan Day. I don't know how any Ohio State fan can stand and celebrate that they're spending $13 million in NIL money to beat a brand new rookie head coach. And you're still not going to get it done because now the college football playoff is going to be a lot more treacherous. And this is how I feel about Ohio State fans right now. They're like Lions fans of old, right? We used to celebrate the offseason. Oh, the draft is coming up. This is our Super Bowl. Now what are Ohio State fans doing? Oh, we got transfers. Hey, we're the best. It's like, no, you still got to put the players on the field and play the game. And if you haven't learned anything about sports, once again, doesn't matter how much talent you have, if these guys don't click and you have a piss-poor leader and crying Ryan Day that's going to shit his pants on the national stage once again. And you guys put up 3 points in a bowl game. Like, just shut up, Ohio State. Take your humble pie, and when you win, like Michigan just did, then you could run your mouth. Until then, take your inbred ass south of the border and have sex with your cousins.
Ooh, damn. Whoa. Well said, Stick. So Michigan, crazy transition there. I'm glad you mentioned that though, because those two fan bases have been crying hard lately.
Oh God, the wambulance that needs to be called for those punks is just like, I have never seen a more spoiled piece of crap fan base than Ohio State University.
I'll be honest.
You want to talk about thinking that they've accomplished anything? They haven't done a damn thing in a long time. Like when 9 years ago you won something, you're going to hold on to that for a decade? Oh, yeah. That's sweet. It's nice of you. It's cute. But, Sharon Moore beat you this year. You got beat by – Ryan Day got out-coached by a team without a head coach.
Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of Sharon Moore, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion of where does Michigan go from here, because I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat. I saw it from Freddie Felt 313. I saw it from Dante 151. And Freddie Felt 313, if Michigan doesn't hire Sharon Moore, we riot. Dante 151, if Michigan doesn't hire Moore as their head coach, then they're stupid. And honestly, at this stage, at this faction of time in Michigan football, I would agree with that, just because I get it. Jim Harbaugh was coaching all throughout the week, but on game days against Penn State, against Ohio State, Sharon Moore showed that he could get it done. And I think that right now, what Michigan I'll say what Michigan does not need. Michigan does not need an outsider to where some of their returning players are going to think, I don't want to play for this Lance Leopold, for example. I want to play for a guy that I know in Sharon Moore. I think there will be more roster continuity.
And that's the mistake they made with Lloyd Carr.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, they thought they could reinvent the wheel when you had Ron English sitting right there. That should have been the next successor in line. He ended up going to Eastern Michigan, not doing great at Eastern, but who does great at Eastern? But to me, that was the logical move from Michigan then. But no, they wanted to go get fancy and try to bring this spread offense, like weird whatever, to Big Ten football, when Jim Harbaugh has just proved you get the big nasties, you punch people in the mouth for 4 quarters, you're going to win football games.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately matters to get a person who understands the fabric of what Jim Harbaugh did and what Lloyd Carr did before, because before the NIL era, and it's funny when I hear OSU and these guys talk, because they make such a big thing about sign stealing when we know that teams have been out there under the table paying players for years, where Michigan, to their credit, has tried to play this thing a little bit different from that regard. And I do believe it
cheated in other ways.
The culture. I think paying players would have been much better success for them, but they chose not to do that. And to not do that, you need those culture guys like Lloyd Carr was, who understand how to get it done at Michigan. If you go and get somebody from outside of this program who doesn't understand how Michigan gets done what they get done, then I do believe you're going to see those types of struggles happening all over again, just like we did underneath Rich Rod, who thought he could come into the Big Ten, change up the way that Big Ten football was going to be played, change up the way that recruiting was going to be done. And they just turned out to be one of the smallest Michigan teams, not physical at all, that I've ever seen in my entire Michigan fandom.
You know what?
Period.
And it's not just us who are, I would say I'm pro Sharon Moore. It seems like at least you guys are more just like promote from within, especially somebody who has coached on the biggest stage, like at Penn State and versus Ohio State. But it's not just us. And JB, do you have the tweet? It was from, there's no better ring endorsement for Sharon Moore than Mr. Zach Zinter himself.
He's bailing though, right?
Well, he's leaving, but at the same time, he was there. He's one of the biggest badasses in the history of Michigan football, one of the best offensive linemen to ever play with the team. And what the tweet says is, no need for interviews, promote Papa Moore. And it's like, all right.
But don't they got to interview like 3 white guys to make sure it's fair?
Ooh, well, and Chuck Brewer.
You can't just be promoting black people like that, can you?
Damn. And Chuck Brewer in the chat, he brings up a good point. They technically have to post the job for 7 days before they can make it official, but I bet on day 8 he'll be named. And at this point, yeah, absolutely. Michigan, I know they lost a lot of players, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, but they're bringing back a hell of a defense. And I know that Sharon Moore doesn't coach defense or anything like that, but I think having that steady presence I think they might be able to keep their strength and conditioning coach, maybe some of their positional coaches. I think that is the best move moving forward. And offensively, you're bringing back Donovan Edwards and Colson Loveland, players like that. So to me, it is Sharon Moore or bust, just because I don't want... First of all, there isn't really that big name out there. I mean, they're talking about guys like Lance Leopold from Kansas, and all due respect for what he did there, but come on, that's not really something that excites me too much. Or I've heard Brian Kelly, who's a great coach, but to me, it's just, would he all of a sudden have like that Northern Michigan accent at this point? Maybe he'd develop a Youper accent at that point.
Just bring Saban back.
Just bring Saban.
There's a guy named Mel Tucker out there that's available too.
We do not want that.
Shout out to Bird in the chat. I know this isn't Michigan related, but he says Stick will love this here in Muskegon Holland area. Which shout out to Muskegon, underrated city in the state of Michigan. Area Myers have so much trouble keeping Lion merch on the shelf. They brought out blue Kool-Aid shirts. Hey. That's pretty awesome. And I used to work on the west side of the state at 104.5 SNX in Grand Rapids, and it's crazy to me how many Chicago Bears fans are on the west side of the state. So to hear that they're selling out of Lions gear makes my heart happy.
Yeah. Of course right now. I mean, why would you want to be a Bears fan when you can be a Lions fan?
Why would you ever want to be a Bears fan except in the 80s?
That
40 years ago, it was cool to be a Bears fan. Since then, you got Rex Grossman.
Yeah, well, talk about that's proof that you don't need to be a good quarterback in order to take your team to a Super Bowl. He got carried like he was.
Thank you, Northern Ground. Woodward Sports rocks.
Thank you, Northern Ground. And Jesse Adams says he's kind of a hater against Michigan sometimes, but that's all well and good. Hey. You guys remember how bad the last few years under Carr were, right? It was just like Mark at MSU. Hold on,
they weren't that bad.
Hold on. That's where I have to throw like flag on the play right there, because the last couple of years under Lloyd Carr, they weren't great. They struggled to beat Ohio State. I will acknowledge that. He lost to Ohio State the last 4 times that he played them. But at the same time, in 2007, they were a 9-4 team. They underachieved, but they also beat Tim Tebow's Florida team in the Capital One Bowl. The year before, they literally played Ohio State at Ohio State in the game of the century when they were both undefeated. They both went into that game 11.
Horrible call by the official.
Well, that's definitely true, but they went into Ohio State and lost by 3. So Lloyd Carr, and I get it, it wasn't great. Michigan wasn't satisfied with that, but Mark D'Antonio really burned down his team. After 2015, do you know what they did next year? They went 3-9. Then they had that one year in 2017 where they won 10 games.
We talk Lions.
2018, 2019, 7-6. Are you like, is one of your people in the chat the burner or something? But yes, we will talk Lions. Because you said so, Sam Stick.
Because they're in the NFC Championship game.
They are in the NFC Championship
We'll never get this time back, Sam.
No, I understand, but
we now have 47 minutes to discuss the Detroit Lions.
We will talk about the Detroit Lions right now, actually. But first, Stick, tell us about Big Boy.
Oh, you want comfort food? Make you feel all warm inside. Get you some veal parmigiana. Get you some classic potato pancakes, some stuffed potato pancakes, all that good stuff. Down home comfort at Big Boy. You go find them. There's one near you. And follow them on social media, too. Look at all that. They're on X. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. They're on TikTok. And go to bigboy.com to find a location near you.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Planet Fitness, you can get energy without the judgment.
Hi, can you help me with this?
You don't know how to use it?
This is better.
Join now through January 19th for just 24 cents down, $10 a month. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Join today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal extended through January 19th.
Over 50 Metro Detroit locations.
Hey, we were out there on Monday for Victory Monday, and I got to be honest, ever since we partnered up with Feldman, the Lions have gone on a hot streak, so we got to keep this thing going. And if you're looking for a new car, head on out to Feldman Chevrolet in Novi, but they got Feldman dealerships all over the place, and that's what makes them Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. Feldman, go get yourself a new car today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show live on the Woodward Sports Network. And for everybody who wanted to talk more Lions, this is the time for you. And how do you not? Because Lions are in the NFC Championship game. If you missed it, check out our interview with John Maakaron early on today. That's our weekly Thursday spot. And he obviously, very few people can break down the Detroit Lions better than him. For my money, nobody can. And speaking of the Detroit Lions, there was a play that happened in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game in which Craig Reynolds, of all people, got a rushing touchdown. And here is Amon-Ra St. Brown discussing that on his podcast.
That Craig Reynolds touchdown was crazy. Bro, you know what's crazy? He wasn't even supposed to be in. Really? What was he in? Personnel got messed up. I thought he did on purpose. So they called personnel. I think it said like 12, whatever. I go in. Then Craig comes running on the field. I'm like, damn, okay. And I'm thinking it's one play that we practice. And then it's a different play. I'm like, okay, this play works. This is the 12th same play where I motion. And it's just a regular run play. But I see, like, behind me in my peripheral, I see white cleats. I'm like, David and Jameer don't wear white cleats. I'm like, who's in the backfield? I go on my motion. I look back at the play. I see Craig get the ball on a handoff on the 1 yard line. He hit that so hard. I'm like, oh my God, Craig, you weren't that bad, huh? He's like, no one stopped me. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you got that shit crazy. He was like a little bowling ball. Dude, you see his dance? Yeah, what was his dance? What was that from? Nigga been waiting to hit that for like all year. What the hell is... He was so happy.
Shout out to the Isaiah Thomas jersey in the back there, too.
Yes.
Did you see that? That's pretty
yeah.
sweet that Amon-Ra St. Brown is embracing the city like that with an Isaiah Thomas jersey.
Hey, Isaiah Thomas is already a Detroit all-time great and an NBA all-time great. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a Detroit all-time great and an NFL all-time great. We shall see. And before I move on, Northern Ground, thank you for the donation. Go Lions. Sam Flannel needs a Michigan flannel. Yes, I most certainly do. I have one that is in maize and blue, but it's not technically Michigan. And one of the things that I took from Craig Reynolds scoring a touchdown in a playoff game, which is something that nobody expected. And I get it. Craig Reynolds wasn't asked to do a whole lot this year. He did have that big block in the Buccaneers game. He did have a big day running the football against the Las Vegas Raiders. That was the game where Jahmyr Gibbs went off, but Craig Reynolds played well as well. Is that this Lions team, there's a certain resilience about them to where even Craig Reynolds can contribute, because during the year, I'll admit, they had some injury luck at times, knock on wood. Jared Goff's been healthy all year. Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Sam Laporta, all of them played 17 games. But it hasn't always been like that, and no matter what has happened, the Lions have just kept humming. James Houston, for example, was expected to be a big contributor, has missed the whole year, more or less. Emmanuel Mosley has missed the whole season. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been out for the majority of the season, and that hasn't hurt the Lions on their way to a 12-5 record. And it's not just them. Many, many players have missed a game or two or three or four. What's up?
Kool-Aid just said it. Breaking news. Is this breaking? I mean, when they tweet this out? At 9:04 a.m., so 15 minutes ago, your 2023 NFC Coach of the Year, Mr. Dan effing Campbell.
Wow. Bah, 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 bah. It's
the worst air horn I've ever heard.
NFC. So it's the NFC Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a start. You got to start somewhere.
Well,
so now he's one of two.
Yeah, when you think of the other Coach of the Year candidates, like the Stefanskis or the
D'Amico
Ryans,
that's it. Those are the three.
Yeah, those are all in the AFC. So congratulations to Dan Campbell.
Yeah, it's about time.
No, and I know that's your guy. And we can pivot really quick because I want to give Sam Stick Day a chance to wax poetic about his favorite human being on planet Earth.
Yeah, he is my favorite human being on planet Earth. It's known around my house. My fiance Corey will tell you. The minute Dan Campbell comes on TV, I shut the fuck up and I pay attention to what this man is saying. This is a man that I think all of us should strive to be. This is a man that I think all of us should look up to as a father figure in the city. So if you want to call him daddy, I'm okay with that. Dan Campbell is everything that we could have dreamed of in a head coach for the Detroit Lions. And it's not only the fact that they're winning, it's how they're winning. It's the attitude that comes along with it. It's the speeches. It's the camaraderie inside that locker room. I mean, we saw a little taste of it last year with Hard Knocks, how this guy interacted with his squad, how they were light, but they're also serious. This is what a leader of men looks like, right? He's not some dude out there demoralizing his players. He's not some dude out there not appreciating the talent that he has in front of him. What is he doing? He's taking every ounce of that talent that he has, and he's making them 110% of what they could have been with a lesser coach. And this is where leadership, above all, in any walk of life, is important. You don't take your best players and drive them into the ground. Matt Patricia, other people that run organizations, but you don't do that. You don't take Darius Slay and tell him not to suck dick because he complimented another player. Isn't that what he said to Darius Slay?
Yes,
and then he
like
shipped him on out of here, and then he became the defensive coordinator this year, and how'd that work out? But Dan Campbell, when this man speaks, we should all listen. And that's all I got to say about that. He is as close to perfect as you could find for the Detroit Lions. And what he does for the organization, what he does for this city, that is a Detroit guy. He's not from Detroit, but that is a Detroit guy. And he's one of those guys that, you know, after his tenure here is over, he's going to live here. He's going to be a Vinnie Johnson. He's going to be an Isaiah Thomas. Chicago-born, son of Chicago, but you know what? He loves Detroit. Calvin Johnson, you know, Georgia boy, right? Loves Detroit. And that's one thing that these fans, and I'm so proud of our fans here in Detroit, because we treat these guys with the respect that they earn, too. We're not L.A. where there's paparazzi following these guys around, making their life living hell, asking them stupid questions. We're tip your cap. Thank you, coach, because we respect this man. And the fact that he's ours makes me so damn happy, and I will defend Dan Campbell till the day I die.
Oh, I mean, as you should. The results speak for themselves. I mean, in his first year, they were 3-13-1, and in just a couple of seasons, they are now a 12-5 team and playing for the NFC Championship game. And Adis 411 brings up a good point. Obviously, Calvin Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, but even guys like Lindsey Hunter, who I believe was born and raised in Mississippi, and Darren McCarty, who was a Canadian, of course. They've ended their careers, and now they're living and working in Detroit for this network. By the way, thank you very much. We obviously enjoy having them here. So yeah, there is something about being in Detroit and how much the fans embrace them. And JB Smoove, was this a well-deserved honor for Dan Campbell being the NFC Coach of the Year?
Of course it was. For as much as he's turned around this organization, this whole franchise, you could just tell that from day one when he stepped in that building that he was going to do great things. And this shows you right here, getting this team to the NFC Championship game, and he's not stopping from there. It is Super Bowl or bust. I don't care. It's Super Bowl or bust, and I have all faith in Dan Campbell can do that.
How could you not at this point? Just with how quickly when an organization turns around that quickly, everybody deserves credit from the top down, and hardly anybody deserves more credit, though, than Mr. Dan Campbell. And now he's getting the recognition, at least for the NFC. Kool-Aid, I know that was music to your ears. You're the one that at least broke the story on the show. Was this, I mean, I shouldn't even ask. This was a well-deserved honor for Dan Campbell, correct?
Yeah, it's definitely a well-deserved honor, and honestly, it's pie in the face of a lot of people who ridiculed him. Jamil
Hill, you race-baiting bitch.
Jordan Taylor, Kyle Hurd. There were a lot of people out there. Stephen A. Smith, across the whole quadrant, man, of national media, who just continued to clown him and tried to use that as a further pedestal to clown Detroit too. And it's just like, you know what? The one thing I really, really love about Dan Campbell is that he's true to his authenticity. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
It's not a gimmick. It's not a show. It's who he is. And I think that stuff resonates. We had Matt Patricia come in here and try and do the pencil thing, smartest guy in the room, I'm a rocket scientist, all of that stuff that was out there, and it absolutely fell on the ground and broke to pieces. Dan Campbell came here, man, and brought an edge. He brought a certain grit to this team that was missing in the previous regime, and I believe it has everything to do with who he is as a person, being true to himself and true to character. At that first press conference, even when he cussed and he was like, excuse my language, it was like, you weren't really sorry about
one
that.
Of
though.
us.
Like,
one of us.
He's
Google
one of us.
gobble, one of us.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's consistent too. I think that's one thing in leadership that a lot of people don't get. When you know what you're getting every time you walk in that locker room, when you know what you're getting every time you take the field, it puts a sense of calm in everybody. It's not a wild card. He's not one day emotional. He's not one day screaming. He's not one day patting you on the back. He'll coach you hard and he'll reward you the same way. And it's just unbelievable that Detroit, it used to be we tried to emulate everybody else. We used to want to be the Patriots. We used to want to do it this way. We used to want to do it and try to, we brought in this guy who was successful there. No, this is our guy. This is our identity, and nobody else can have what Detroit has right now, and this guy deserves that honor.
He definitely deserves that honor. And one of the things that he's done to me that has been the most impressive is he's clearly known how to put the right people under him, like Ben Johnson, for example, and Aaron Glenn, and Kelvin Shepard, and Hank Fraley, and Antoine Randall L.
But also when to move on for when the guys aren't right.
Lynn.
Anthony Lynn, like that was a huge change in the moment. You know, like that's also part of leadership. It's not just about surrounding yourself with the right guys. It's about subtracting the wrong guys.
Isn't that a part of being true to yourself too? Knowing that when you've made a mistake or knowing when it's time to make a change, not being afraid to do that. You know what I mean? Because how many people have we had before that honestly probably stuck to their mistakes because they didn't want to look like they were wrong? Dan Campbell doesn't care about that. He cares about getting this city a winner, and he cares about making sure everybody who looks at that team can believe in what they're saying. It was amazing to hear him say, you know what, maybe some of the picks that we've made, maybe some of the signings that we've made don't jive with you guys necessarily on the forefront, but we know these players, and we know that they're exactly the type of players that will resonate with this city. And that, to me, it was just a completely different approach than like what you said prior, trying to bring the Patriots way here. The Patriots way, I talked about this last night on the Heavies, I don't even think that was about, you can't bring what the Patriots do here because it's not the same cloth. What Dan Campbell is doing is creating his own impression, his own imprint that should now be called the Lions way.
Yes.
And that's what he's doing.
And other teams will try to emulate it, and they won't be able to. And that's what's awesome. They will try to be carbon copies of what's happening here in Detroit. I think maybe Antonio Pierce is probably the best guy that could get it done because I like his coaching style too. Former player, gritty guy. Yeah. But nobody's ever going to be able to take that word grit and apply it without being like, oh, you're trying to be like the Lions.
And that's going to be the trademark forever. And one of the hallmarks to me of Dan Campbell and the coaching staff of why it's worked and how they've been so good is how they've been able to deal with adversity and kind of show some resilience. As I was mentioning at the beginning of this segment, and I think this ties really well into Dan Campbell being the NFC Coach of the Year. They've played this whole season without, for all intents and purposes, James Houston, Emmanuel Mosley, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. C.J. Gardner-Johnson came back, and he's been here for the playoffs, but those are three guys that were expected to be three of your more important contributors on the defensive side of the ball, and the Lions are they still had a great regular season. Aleem McNeil missed 4 games. They were 2-2 in those games, which was the worst of them all. Amon-Ra St. Brown missed a game, 1-0 in that game. David Montgomery missed 3. The Lions were 2-1. Jahmyr Gibbs missed 2. The Lions were 2-0. Brian Branch missed 2. The Lions were 2-0 in those games. Alex Anzalone missed the Saints game. The Lions won that one. Jamison Williams missed 5 games. The Lions were 4-1 in those games. Jonah Jackson missed 5. The Lions were 3-2. And Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker both missed 2, and the Lions were 1-1 in those games. So the way that they've been they have this next man up mentality, and their depth and the player development. I think that says a lot about Dan Campbell and the guys that he has put under them, and as like you said, Stick, the guys that have had to go, because that was a hell of a leadership move, getting rid of Anthony Lynn that quick, but it just wasn't working. And look what happened almost the second he was gone, and the second some little old unknown named Ben Johnson got elevated. And that's Dan Campbell. That's leadership stuff right there.
Yep.
And that's what we always talk about when it comes to Dan Campbell. He is a hell of a leader of men, but he's also a lot smarter than I think a lot of the nation gives him credit for. And I think he's got more of an offensive mind, I would say, than the...
Well, I think people are finally starting to look at him as more than a meathead.
Yes.
You know, like, it was real easy to be like, oh, this guy's just a meathead. He don't really know football. But you got to understand, he's coming from the Sean Payton coaching tree.
Yeah.
You got to understand where Sean Payton comes from, the Bill Parcells coaching tree. Like, these are brilliant men. And the fact that he's a brilliant man and a meathead is like the perfect Detroit combination.
That's what I was going to say. He's redefining what meathead is, actually, man.
Yeah.
He is. He's our meathead.
And Vanilla Bo Jackson would be happy to play for you at any time, Dan Campbell.
Absolutely. How could you not? But a defense that everybody should want to play for and have is Guardian Alarm, of course. It's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
Stay out!
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Feel alive during Feldman Chevrolet's biggest New Year's sales event ever. Get the best prices on our huge selection of award-winning Chevrolets. Like this 2024 Equinox for $188 per month. Or this 2024 Silverado for $268 per month. It's the New Year's sales event going on now at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The draft experience was shitty.
My high school dating experience was shitty.
I can tell you all 16 receivers and where they went to college.
I can tell you every girl that put me in the friend zone, every girl that shot me down, what grade it was, and what she said to me. Sarah Williams, freshman year at a house party, says, quote, I want to be single. Got a boyfriend the next day. Beth Samuel, junior year, I got benched during a football game. Afterwards, she came up to me and said, I want to date a starter. Kelsey McFarland, 10th grade, I took her to dinner, paid for dinner, and she told me I was the best guy friend she's ever had. Rachel Fletcher, took her to a party with my friend. She said, I like you, but I like your friend better. That was in 12th grade. Emily Westfall, senior year, I asked her to go to prom with me. She said, quote, sorry, I already have a date. She didn't even go to prom. Tanya Allen, Heather Talbert, Lindsay Turner, Leslie Frazier. It's okay, though, because now, here I am, working at Woodward Sports. They all got fat after high school, and the only thing I want back are my hoodies.
Man, what a brilliant video, and I think all of us can relate to that to some degree. But you know what? It's funny. It's funny how you relate it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, because Amon-Ra St. Brown is now a first-team All-Pro wide receiver, and you are engaged and have a baby on the way. So damn, everybody's just glowing up in this city right now. It's just absolutely unbelievable. How do you feel? Do you feel a little bit of like vindication now, as well as I'm sure Amon-Ra St. Brown does?
I do. It's so nice. But like I said, I still want those hoodies back. And guys, if you don't understand that satire, there's nothing I can do to help you. Like, every time we play that video, people are like, oh my God, this is so cringe. Why would you call these girls out? It's fake, bro.
Yes.
It's fake. I hate to break it to you, but it was just for fun because we wanted to compare what Amon-Ra St. Brown, his list, to me getting shot down in high school. Did I get shot down? Yes, but not like that.
Not like that.
You think I took pictures with all those chicks because I was shot down? No, we smashed.
Oh, okay. So Stick was actually the opposite of maybe what he claimed, but that's all right. Maybe he's just taking W's every stage of his life. And
yeah, it's supposed to be corny. That's the joke, man. God, you get a sense of humor, people.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. It is supposed to be a sense of humor. And it kind of, speaking of people who obviously have a sense of humor, we were talking about Dan Campbell, and I want to go back to this because I think Hoof Harden puts it perfectly. People call MCDC a meathead because their egos can't handle the idea that he's both stronger and smarter than them. And that's, I don't know. I mean, I think there's something to that because I know that those we are talking about Jamel Hill and Joy Taylor and Colin Cowherd. They wanted to be right. They wanted him to fail. They wanted to see some of those antics in his press conferences as, see, that's proof that this guy can't be a head coach. But he's both smarter and stronger than pretty much, well, a lot of people, myself included.
Listen, Colin Cowherd and Joy didn't like him, right?
Yeah.
But what Jamil Hill put out there, and it still lives on the internet, it just proves that she is a one-trick pony. She has no real opinions. She's got one thing to stand on that's made her relevant her whole life, and it's just absolutely pathetic to look back and see that comment was even made. Like, it's just, to me, I'm disgusted by it. And the fact that Dan Campbell has proven to be what he is should at least send her a message that, hey, Can you drop the race stuff just for a second? Like just get a new identity for a second, and let's talk real sports. You could say, I don't like that guy. I don't like his bravado. He doesn't sound like an intelligent guy, because that's what Colin Cowherd did. Like, this is a show. That's not really going to work. Joy said what she said when he put his helmet on about how he was a joke. And we all got mad about that, which is fair because we want to protect our guy. But to attack him because of the color of his skin, that's crossing a line for me, and it crosses a line either way, whether it's white or black. It crosses a line for me. I don't like it. I don't stand for it, and I'll never take it easy on her until she stands up and retracts her statement and says what she said was based on pure lies, and all she wanted was clicks.
Yes.
Because, and I don't want to get into this negative stuff, but like, that resurfacing really hammered home to me what a clown Jamil Hill is.
Yes, and Shad, somebody who I've had my battles with, actually says something that I agree with. And to make it worse, she claims Detroit. That is for...
No, she is not a Detroiter. She is not a Detroiter.
No, we all know that.
I guarantee I have more Detroit in my blood than Jamil Hill. I guarantee it. I was born 7 Mile in Shiawassee. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up, went to University of Detroit, lived in Belle Isle, at the Jeffersonian in my 20s. It's just, she's not Detroit. That's all.
It's funny because on a show like today, you've got two people who I think bleed Detroit harder than anybody. It's obviously not me because I'm not from here. I am an import. But Detroit Kool-Aid and Sam Stick Day, these are as Detroit as they come.
Yeah. And look, we're opposite colors, and we don't ever judge anybody on that, do we, Kool-Aid?
No.
And we talk about that stuff. We can joke about our, we can joke about our races, but we would never, I would never in my life point to that as being a reason not to hire a guy.
No, and he hadn't even coached a game yet at that point. That's the thing. It's never acceptable under any circumstances whatsoever. But the fact that Dan Campbell hadn't even coached one game yet, it was just off of a couple of things he did.
And I do believe that there is a place to advocate to make sure that there is equality in the coaching search.
Yeah.
But to pinpoint Dan Campbell and to try and do it the way she did it, it was a little bit aggressive. It was a little bit. I think it makes what the actual issue is less of what we're focusing on, and all of a sudden we're putting all of the attention squarely on her and her comments.
Right.
And I think it actually does us a little bit of a disservice, man. I want there to be more representation of my people amongst the head coaching ranks.
Yeah.
But I never for once when I saw Dan Campbell thought yo, he's taking a job from a well-deserved black individual. I never thought that.
And when they hired Brad Holmes, I wasn't like, man, that should be a white guy. Like, no. Brad Holmes earned his spot, and he's proven to be nothing but a great GM. And I don't give a damn what color he is. Like, we're Lions fans. We just want winner. If it was an alien, I think we'd all be happy. Like, it really doesn't matter to me. And I don't want to get too sidetracked by this, but the fact that keeps popping up in my Twitter timeline and people are pointing it out, I just hope she has enough humility to come out at some point and say I was wrong. That's all. I think, and that heals a lot of wounds. I think it does, because we need to have the race dialogue. We do. I think when you stop talking about it is when things get weird, but you need to talk about it in a positive light. And I don't want to get too far off track with that, but yeah, it really disgusts me when people use that either way, black, white, brown, indifferent. It's disgusting.
Yes, I agree. I obviously echo everything that you guys just said. And Hoofhearted says maybe MCDC is an alien. You know what?
that red nose ain't normal. I know that. But like, who has a red nose at all times?
But regardless of what he's obviously not an alien. But regardless, even if he was, the results speak for themselves when it comes to all the players, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, all of that. And you know who else's results always speak for themselves? What's trending with JB Smoove? And we will get to that when we get back. But first, I have to tell you about Dispo. Experience Dispo Dispensary, a team that curates an unbelievable atmosphere. Dispo is now giving out 2 tickets plus hotel and flight accommodations to this year's big game in Vegas. Go on Dispo's Instagram page at Dispo Michigan and follow directions on the pin post, or scan the QR code and it will take you there. Let's get you sports fans to Vegas. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
At Planet Fitness, you can get energy without the judgment.
Hi, can you help me with this?
You don't know how to use it?
This is better.
Join now through January 19th for just 24 cents down, $10 a month. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Join today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal extended through January 19th.
Over 50 Metro Detroit locations.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White & Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White & Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesales.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true. Now it is time for the part of the show that everybody, set your clock to it. Every day he's got some new stuff that just blows our mind and creates conversation. What's trending with JB Smoove? What do you got first up?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
JB!
Yeah. Sam, Flannel, I should say, we got 2 Sam's on the desk, but Flannel, I'm sorry.
Bo Jackson, thank you.
Vanilla Bo Jackson, I
thank
apologize about that. But Flannel, I'm sorry that, Jim Harbaugh had to leave. It's a sad day for you. I know that's a great coach, but he's moving on to the NFL. But they did somehow seem to snap a picture before he left on his way to LA. Just captured, right before he made his coaching decision. But, I don't know what's going on with these players, but I think people have got to stop naming their kids these. And somehow, some way, this one fell through the cracks, and this guy is now in the NFL. If anyone wants to take a stab at this name.
Mr. Kuntz.
Why are we still getting athletes with these names in the NFL? This kills me so much.
The best part about these like last names is, like they say last names are based on what your ancestors used to do. Like if your last name's Smith, your family was blacksmiths. What did his family have to do to earn that last name?
Oh boy,
that is an interesting.
I'm just asking questions.
And that's a question that certainly deserves an answer. I don't know if it will get one, but congratulations on you on being in the NFL, Mr.
It's Kuntz.
It's probably Kuntz,
Yeah.
but that's congratulations on making it to the NFL, young man. Young man,
congratulations.
Congratulations. But you know what, you guys? I think I've got it fixed right here to help save the Detroit Pistons. Kool-Aid, I need your opinion on this trade as well, too. I just seen this come across. Zach LaVine for Bojan, Killian Hayes, and Isaiah Stewart.
Right now, yes.
Are you taking this trade?
I honestly, I would.
I mean, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Do something different.
Try it.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the screen. Just do it.
Just do it.
He didn't even see who's on it. Like,
Take the trade. Take the trade now.
100% you take that trade. I mean, I don't think the Bulls want Zach LaVine anymore anyway.
No, I don't think they want Zach LaVine either. But hey, I'm willing to try it. I mean, come on. What's the worst that can happen? We lose another 30 games.
Yeah, it is worth it too because Bojan, this last year, next year, he's not going to be the same guy. Stewart, I think he's just forever going to be a bench player. That's what I believe his best.
He's
role
Jason
is.
Maxiell of this era.
Yeah, oh man, that's a really good comparison. Yeah, I agree with that. I would do that deal in a heartbeat, bro. In a heartbeat.
Yep.
I feel you. I respect that. And like I said, this is our final week leading up to the NFC Championship. So I just want to give you some sounds of what happened this past Sunday at Ford Field. The chants of Jared Goff just rang out in Ford Field in the lobby right before the game. It gets you so pumped. And to know that Delta has added additional flights for Lions fans just to head out to San Fran is so amazing. Like they want to see us go to Levi Stadium and support this team so much. So, you guys, it's a proud moment to be a Lions fan.
What's crazy about that too is you could probably go to that game for cheaper than you went to the last game here in Detroit, since that was the most expensive divisional round ever to pay to go to Ford Field. You could probably fly to San Francisco and get a ticket cheaper than what you had to go to Ford Field last time.
You're probably right, honestly. I mean, just to get a ticket and fly, I know you have to stay somewhere. But, if you want to just be home,
I mean, it's San Francisco. You can live on the streets.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Go
rob a Walmart and whatever and live on the streets. That's San Francisco for you. Embrace the culture of San Francisco.
Embrace the culture. But I was about to say, that's probably not a place where you want to be living on the street. But, you can fit in. Fit in with everybody else.
Yeah, they got tent cities out there. It's beautiful. You get free needles. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in San Francisco.
Yeah, pick up an addiction, whatever you want to do. But,
Pick up an addiction.
But as long as the Lions win the NFC Championship game, it is all worth it. I mean, I think we'd all stay in tent city if that's what I had to sacrifice for the Lions winning the NFC Championship. I think I would 100% do it. You got anything else, JB Smooth?
I got one last video for you guys, and I don't know if this is mean or not, or if this is just tough love from parenting, but I'll play it a couple times so you can hear it.
Whoa, who does that? Who does that?
Whoa.
You say you suck?
Yes, there's a parent in the crowd saying you suck as a girl is attempting a free throw. Is this tough love or no?
If it was her parent, I'm on board with it. But if it was a crowded gym, nobody hears you, but an empty gym like that, ooh, those echoes.
What level of play was that? It looked like they were young, that's probably a little bit over the line. I'm not offended or anything. I got a chuckle out of it, but at the same time, I mean, you're probably taking it a little bit too seriously if you need your youth girls basketball team to win that bad that you're gonna heckle. One of the reasons you can tell is it looked like whoever was shooting that free throw was jumping and using all their might. That's how you know that they're probably young.
Have you seen the video like that where you just hear someone going boo? boo, while she's shooting, and then all of a sudden you hear, it's okay, I'm her mom.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case in this
Kool-Aid,
one.
what
But
do you think about that? Is that tough love or is that fair? All fair in the game?
Bro, that it's hilarious is what it is, bro. You could tell towards the end of it, it was probably like, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Boo, you suck. That's one of our drops, I think. But thank you, JB. And those were all some great ones. Like I said, very thought-provoking and provide some good content, I think, for all of us. But when we come back, we're going to do mailbag. So put your questions in the chat, please. But first, I have to tell you about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, where I go those A-plus haircuts from the A-plus stylist. Come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right. No expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Hey, you know what happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and you keep going. That's what Les Stanford has done. They got Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Beautiful spot there in Dearborn, right off Michigan Avenue. So if you are looking for a brand new car, they are also the lease experts. They can get you out of your lease and get you into something brand new. Les Stanford, find new roads.
Find them, of course. And now we are back to mailbag, and I'm going to start with Eduardo O'Neill because this is a question about the game on Sunday. Mailbag, do you think to win on Sunday, we, the Detroit Lions, need to steal a possession like a fake punt or something? I would say yes, most certainly. Create a turnover, maybe get a critical fourth down that maybe another coach wouldn't attempt to go for. I think that that's probably going to have to happen because the San Francisco 49ers, they're a different animal. It's their first road playoff game, and I think that's one of the things that has made Dan Campbell and this team so great. They seem to steal possessions in almost every single game, so yes, I think that that's going to need to happen.
And let's not forget, Sean Payton guy. What's Sean Payton doing in the Super Bowl?
Unbelievable.
Onside kick. Like, Dan Campbell's going to have something up his sleeve. You don't know what it is, but that's what makes it awesome. And if he doesn't do anything, that's almost just as good. Like, the one thing that he's done really well over these past 2 weeks is game manage. Punted the ball when he needed to punt the ball, not take those crazy risks. I mean, he did go for it on fourth down a couple times, but they were at the 2 and 1 yard line, so that's not really a crazy risk. So yeah, Dan Campbell has been coaching through the roof right now.
Yes, and speaking of Dan Campbell, Q-Ball 93 mailbag. What are the chances Dan Campbell wins the real Coach of the Year award? Stefanski got bumped in the first round of the playoffs, and shouldn't it be a lock now for MCDC?
It's not a lock. D'Amico Ryans, what he did is something special, and Stefanski winning with 87 different quarterbacks this year is pretty damn impressive too. But if you're asking the odds right now, 50-50, NFC or AFC. That's it.
And that's coming from you, Stick, somebody who worships at the altar of Dan Campbell.
I do.
We all do to some extent.
But I can also recognize greatness in others. It's not like Dan Campbell's the only good coach in the league.
Yes. Yeah, what D'Amico Ryans and Kevin Stefanski did was, I mean, excellent. And you can't even really fault the Texans for losing at Baltimore in the playoffs. That's just a next step, you know.
Baltimore's a machine, man.
They most certainly are. And mailbag from Jordan Schaefer. Will Amon-Ra take a contract less than market value to keep a chip on his shoulder? I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, is he the type of guy that can, even when he's paid, even if he is a multiple-time first-team All-Pro, is he still going to find a way to feel disrespected? I think he's that type of guy.
I mean, yeah, I don't think the money matters to this guy at all. I mean, just his upbringing with his dad being Mr. Universe and stuff like that. The work ethic's always going to be there. I don't think money's the motivator, but at the same time, I don't blame anybody for trying to get the most money for their talents. That's part of the business. He's proven it as a 4th-round draft pick, and what's he getting paid right now? Like $875K a year? Like that's not what Amon-Ra St. Brown is worth.
Oh no, most certainly not. Let me see. I just had it. Let me. All right. But what MCDC did was the most impressive over the other candidates who did have amazing seasons. That was from Eric Allen. But the Lions were mediocre until MCDC came here. I mean, the Lions, the franchise overall was just like the worst franchise in team
mediocre.
Sports. Yeah,
the Lions were trash.
Yes.
And I loved them, but they were my trash, but they were still trash. Like the way I always used to put it to people when they're like, why do you still root for the Lions? Like, listen, if I had a son and he played on a Little League team and they were getting trucked every single game, I'm still showing up and cheering for my son.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way I used to look at the Lions.
Yeah, no, and that's and they've rewarded us all. They've rewarded guys like you who've been loyal for
God,
many
have they ever.
years.
And Jared Goff, thank you for making me look like a genius. Thank you. I mean, you could go back, go search on the YouTube page right now, the Woodward Sports YouTube page. Me, Sean Belegian, former Lion Joik Bell, and I had to explain to Joik Bell why you don't give up on a guy like Jared Goff.
I actually watched that video. It was
how spot on was it?
You look like. And the thing too is, it's not just that you look like the genius now. It's that, and I love Sean Belegian and I love Joik Bell, but like they both kind of had this almost
pompous,
right? Like how dare thee think that Jared Goff can work? I mean,
and my argument wasn't he's going to be a savior, was it? It was let's give the guy a chance.
Yeah,
that was it. That was all. Like, dude, he was a number 1 overall pick. He's 26 years old when we got him. He's 29 now. He's been to a Super Bowl. He just won a playoff game coming off a surgically repaired thumb where he had to come in and save Warford's ass.
Oh yeah,
like so the guy had already just come off an injured playoff performance. That's what you want out of your leader. And the fact that everybody was just like, no, get rid of him. No. And they suggested drafting Trey Lance to sit behind him for 2 years.
Well, how would that have worked out? One of the worst draft picks and one of the worst draft busts of all time, Trey Lance.
Love receipts.
The smoke, mailbag. Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs was held back early on in the season to run him like crazy in the last critical games of the season to avoid injuries?
No, I think Jahmyr Gibbs was not ready to be a part of the offense, and that's one thing that you got to tip your cap to with this coaching staff is how they have developed players over time. I mean, Aleem McNeil or Derek Barnes is probably another great example of that. He's in year 3, and he's finally coming into his own, and that's what they feel about him. Some guys are late bloomers, and so I think they brought Jahmyr Gibbs along in the capacity that they needed to bring Jahmyr Gibbs along. Did you see that pass block last game?
Yeah.
Where it opened right in the middle linebacker blitzing, one-on-one with 3 yards pretty much on each side of you, and Gibbs puts his right shoulder pad right into his gut and pushes that guy 2 yards. That's something that a rookie that doesn't know how to pick up blitz packages and blocking assignments, if you put in there week 1 and he gets blown up, that's potential to get your quarterback hurt. That's potential to do a lot of things, and that's why another reason why I just think this coaching staff is so far light years beyond what anybody else we've ever seen. We don't understand it. And once again, receipts, I was on this show saying I want to use Jahmyr Gibbs more early in the season.
Yeah.
I was quoted as saying I don't buy a Ferrari to sit it in the garage.
Yeah.
But and I felt that way, but here's the deal. The guys in charge are smarter than me. The guys in charge have more information than me. So I wanted that, but that wasn't what was best for the team.
No, and the funny thing, too, about Jahmyr Gibbs is that even though at the beginning of the year he wasn't quite half his usage that he eventually did, David Montgomery got hurt. He had to play a pretty big role in the Atlanta Falcons game. He had over 80 yards. And we all know what he did in the Raiders game where he had over $160. And the day after on this show, I said that I now believe that Jahmyr Gibbs can one day be the best running back in the NFL. I know that sounds like
tough.
I mean, I understand that sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, but I mean, he had 945 yards, some like the second most.
The potential is there.
Yes,
the potential is there,
and that is why you draft him at number 12 overall.
Yes,
100%. Jordan Schaefer. There's a locker room debate about which Holmes draft class is better and will be better. What class will? Well, we're talking about all three of them. What class will be better? Is better now?
His first.
I would say so too.
I mean, you got Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that doesn't include Iffy and all those other guys that have started to come along. But when you have arguably the best lineman in football, as much as we want to respect the other parts of the draft, none of those guys are the absolute best. Now, in 3 years, will Laporta be the best tight end in the league? Potentially. Will Jahmyr Gibbs be the best running back in the league? Potentially. Will Brian Branch be discussed as a top 5 safety or nickelback? Potentially. Yeah. So there's a lot of potential, but as of right now, that Penei Sewell draft looks like that's what propelled this team to be what they are. Who do you go to when you want to seal the game? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yes.
Who do you run behind when you need a big block? Who do you pull from the tackle position on sweeps to get to the outside and beat your running back there? Penei Sewell. That draft changed the culture of the Detroit Lions.
Yes, Penei Sewell is the best offensive lineman in the NFL. And I was somebody who was slower than most to really warm up to him because I thought that some people were making outlandish statements that have turned out to be more true than not. And obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown, first-team All-Pro in year 3. Unbelievable.
The thing I really love about that Penei Sewell draft is you gave the Lions a strength. They never had a strength before. The offensive line was good before they got Penei Sewell. Now they are elite.
Yes.
So you made one unit on your team elite, and when you do that, you can start building an identity. If they would have drafted Micah Parsons, hell of a player, he would have just been a good dude on a bad defense.
Easy, a good dude. You said it.
He would have been a great dude on a bad defense. Is that fine?
Yes.
Defense still would have been bad. Don't you agree?
He would have helped, but I know I get what you're saying. And the results speak for themselves. The Lions are 12-5 just a couple of years later. And I think that'll about wrap it up for today. Thank you guys all for tuning in to the Morning Woodward Show. For Flannel Sam, for Sam Stick Dave, for JB Smooth, Vanilla Bo Jackson.
Thank you.
For JB Smooth, for Detroit Kool-Aid. We will see you all tomorrow. And be sure to tune in to all of the rest of the programming that Woodward Sports has to offer, starting with Big D Energy at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
I saw Neil Rule walk
Peace.
in. Oh, no. It's Pete's Buyback.